Hello everyone, Lorenzo here. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I make money on Northridge without any keys in Forbidden. I'm gonna start with an in-depth tactical breakdown of what the main spawns are, what the rotations are, and my advice on timing and on rotations throughout the raid, also depending on your spawn point. And then in the second part of the video, we're gonna be looking at what loadout I think is ideal to carry out these strategies and to fight in Northridge in a way that you spend efficiently and take out as much profit as you can. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And you can follow me on Twitch. If you're looking for people to play with, join me on Discord. All my links are in the description. And yeah, let's get straight into it. Let's start with strategy. The basic concept of this money-making strategy without keys on Forbidden Northridge is to keep your back covered and to try and keep the fight to one team at a time. I will explain more about that later. For now, we are going to see what the main spawns are and what the main rotations, route timing, and reset windows are. As you can see, we've got a map here. The free saves are shown by the purple and the blue markers here, and you also can see what the spawns are, which are the green circles. You can also see that I am kind of zoomed in on the northern side of the map because I believe that the northern route is the most profitable one if you don't have keys. You can also see already by the spawn locations that most of the time you will spawn somewhere on the edges of the map. There's only about 3 spawns that are more internal on the inside of the map. The Sentry Tower spawn, the Dam spawn, and the spawn between camp services and the hotel. Now, think about this. This map doesn't really have a lot of bottlenecks. It's a very open map. It's not like Farm, which is a narrow and long map where people always kind of take the same routes. Here, people spawn anywhere on these green points, and from there they could go anywhere. Many people will head to the main hotspot with the most amount of saves, which is the hotel. But we are looking at a keyless strategy, so it's a totally unnecessary risk if you don't have keys to go to the motel. It's gonna be difficult to fight there, there's gonna be lots of teams, it's just not worth it to go here. You're taking an unnecessary risk in my opinion. The other main hotspots early on are the sewage plant, the dam, the cable car station, the communication station, and camp services. The reason why these are the main hotspots early on is because they all have a free safe. So players spawning in nearby spawns will immediately try to rush that way, especially in Forbidden, in order to try and find a red. However, there is a problem with doing this in a few of these locations. The higher risk areas in these cases are the sewage plant and the dam. I do not recommend rotating here early on, despite the presence of the free saves, because of, and now we go back to the first concept that I mentioned, keeping your back covered. As you may remember, I mentioned there aren't many bottlenecks on this map. It's not a linear map, it's more of a circular map, so people can rotate pretty much anywhere. So what happens, for example, at the sewage plant, when 3, potentially even 4 of these teams rush that way early on, is that one team will get there early. They'll kill a couple of scavs, they'll make some noise, they'll get to the safes. While this happens, these other teams here will be alerted that there's somebody at the sewage plant, and so they're going to want to go get a piece of that cake. The second team will arrive and will start fighting the first team. The third team will hear that, will arrive, and they'll start fighting the first and the second team, and so on. Basically, anywhere that you're in this middle section of the map, there is a very high potential for getting third, fourth, and fifth partied. You'll have chads that rush every gunshot. You don't want to be getting into fights in the early game in the middle of the map. I've done this a lot, and even though I could often get 2 or 3 kills within the first 5 to 10 minutes of the raid, I would inevitably end up getting third or fourth partied. There would just be teams camping in any of these hundreds of trees that you see here, and getting out alive after a fight at dam or sewage plant would be literally almost impossible. A medium risk area in the first 10 minutes of the raid, which in my opinion is not as bad as the dam or the sewage plant, but can still be pretty hard to get out of, is camp services. Camp services lays more at the edge of the map, so it's a little bit more safe. There's also fewer spawns close to it, which will go there early on. However, the problem with camp services is that there's a ton of windows, there's a ton of buildings, so it can be a bit hard to basically keep your back covered. Maybe if you're in a 4-man squad, you will not have this problem, but if you're solo duo, you may struggle a little bit with getting out once you get in early. So to give you some statistics, I did about 20 raids in which I went towards the center of the map early on, and I extracted about 5 out of 20 times. So the extraction rate is way too low to be profitable. What I've noticed, on the other hand, that the best way to make money is to coast the edge of the map. So for example, say you spawn at the beekeeper's hut right here. Ignore the sewage plant. The first 10 minutes, you are basically going to want to loot the southern village, which has plenty of boxes and a lot of like free loot. Then you're going to want to loot the north village. 9 times out of 10, the north village team will have rotated either to the sewage plant and will have most likely died, or maybe got in a fight in another team. Anyway, they will be busy in the sewage plant area, or they will have rotated already towards the cable car station. So most of the times this north village spawn will not be in your way. Sometimes they might wait for you, which means you might have to basically fight this team, and vice versa if you spawn in the north village and you're looting the north and the south village. But that's part of the money-making strategy. You do want some PvP, because that's going to be a form of income, but the key is fighting one team at a time with your back covered. If you spawn in South Village and you're fighting the team that spawns at the North Village, which does not happen very often, by the way, you're gonna be fighting one-on-one, one team against another team. All the people in the middle of the map, they are not really gonna be bothered with, you know, abandoning their fights in the middle of the map or their valuable saves in the middle of the map and coming your way. They're not really going to be bothered with that, so there's a much lower chance of getting third-partied. So then after you've looted the points of interest on the edges of the map close to where you spawn, you're just going to want to continue that rotation. So for example, in this specific example, you'd be at the North Village. I would then move towards the Cliffside Highway. You're going to walk in these woods. You're going to be checking for players basically coming out of the sewage plant. So you're going to be watching your left-hand side for anyone moving out of like the sewage plant, which means that again your right-hand flank is covered and you don't have to worry about that. And I think then your next main point of interest should be the cable car station. Now, there's a couple of excellent sniper spots here, here, and here, where with all the comfort in the world, you can check for any PMCs that entered the cable car station early. When they come out, whether they come out this way, or this way, you have the opportunity to ambush them. So you can do that, and otherwise you can just go in and benefit from the free safe and the plenty of loot that you can find in the cable car station. Having done that, you can extract at the cable car station if you have 2 dog tags, or you can often extract at the parking lot for free. Alternatively, if you're not satisfied with your loot, you can continue to the communication station, benefit from the free safe here if it hasn't already been looted. You will have probably been in the raid already for 20 minutes, and many people will have either died somewhere in the middle of the map inside this red circle, or they will have extracted either at the cable car station, or at the dam, or at the parking lot. These are usually the extractions that get triggered early on. And then you can eventually check out the Northwest Woodland and extract at the bus terminal. So this is a path that I've done many times, and usually you either find PMCs in the North Village when you rotate up, or at the cable car station. Most of the rest of the route is clear. You usually only get into 1 or 2 fights, you don't get third-partied, you find a lot of loot, and it is very, very survivable. This route can be done counterclockwise as well. So for example, if you spawn at the Northwest Woodland, you can hit the communication station first, you get to the cable car station, again, you pick one of those 3 sniper spots. If there's anybody already inside, you can ambush them, otherwise you go in, and then you get out. This time, on your way out, it might actually be worth it to check the sewage plant, because at this point in the raid, you'll be already 20-25 minutes in, and all the early fights will have been finished. Most people will be dead or extracted, which means that you can actually go in, pick off stuff off of dead PMCs. Maybe the safes haven't been done and you can pick them up. Maybe the room hasn't been opened, you can do that. And then you can extract at the Eastern Bridge, or you can extract at the North Village, get even some extra loot on the way out. So this works very well as well. Again, same concept. If you spawn in the Southwest camp, or if you spawn by the camp services, you can actually hit camp services first, do the free safe, be quick, get out, hit the observation tower, and then you can do woodland, communication station, parking lot, and then you can extract at cable car if you have dog tags, or you can extract at parking lot, or you can extract at the Eastern Bridge. And again, same thing, if you spawn down here at the dilapidated shack, you can hit South Village, North Village, and then, well, you already know the rest of the route. One tricky thing is if you spawn close to the cable car station early on, because, okay, so let's switch colors again so you can hopefully see this better. Let's take pink. If you spawn here at the parking lot, or if you spawn here by the Cliffside Highway, you are going to be, or even if you spawn here at the Northern Road, you are going to be tempted to run straight into the cable car station, because you're gonna be one of the first ones in. Being one of the first ones into the cable car station can be very dangerous, because, as we already mentioned, there's excellent sniping spots outside of the cable car station. In this situation, it is best practice to hang out outside first, so you're gonna want to take one of these sniping spots and basically check for movement on the road and check for movement inside the cable car station. If you don't see anybody going in and you hear mostly fights happening at the dam and at the sewage plant, then you know that most of the people that spawned in any of these spawns around communication, dam, sewage, that they will have gone this way. They will have gone to the center of the map, which is where you don't want to go. In this situation, if you hear shots in the middle of the map and you spawn anywhere near to the cable car station, just go in, grab the free safe, and maybe kill the boss, loot the boxes, and get out. Do this as fast as possible. You want to be out within the first 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe 10 minutes is even too much. On the other hand, if you get on any of these sniping spots, as I've advised, and you see people going in, you basically just want to rat them out. When they start looking at leaving, through any of these red routes that I show here, that's when you ambush them. Take their stuff and then basically continue your rotation through the edge of the map, either to the left or to the right, depending on where your extraction is. In general, I would only hit the dam, the sewage plant, the access bridge, or the hotel very late onto the raid when everything has quieted down, but never ever within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the raid if I'm trying to survive and make money. And remember, survival is key to making money, but if you don't have keys, PvP is probably the best way to make money. And by taking these routes, you will find so you will either fill up your bag with random blue and gold items and you'll make a bit of money, or you will get into 1 or 2 fights, and if you win, you will get these players things, you will make money from their loot and from some hopefully gold items that you find, and you have the best ratio between survivability and money potential by taking these routes. Alright, now that we have an understanding of what the most survivable routes are here in Northridge and Forbidden, and how you can make money by taking as little risk, it is now important to look at what kind of armament and what kind of gear you're gonna want to bring in order to increase your survivability, but also your kill potential. To make money, you don't want to spend too much, right? And the entry requirement for Forbidden is 300k, so we're gonna be trying to get a loadout around that cost, which gives us some protection, but also you're going to be running into a lot of people running tier 6 and tier 5 ammo, so you don't want to overspend on gear. You do, however, want to have a gun that really kills and a kit that gives you a bit of survivability in case you run into people with SMGs and ARs up close. So here's the kit that I recommend. Gun-wise, you want to go for none other than the brand new SVTU. This gun is very straightforward. The build that I usually go for is something like this. You're gonna want to put a suppressor on it, a scope. I usually go for a 5-round mag, and I'll show you why in a moment. And that's it. By the way, if you put the motion adapter and you put either one of these AK suppressors, it's a bit cheaper than if you put the motion suppressor. Anyway, that's up to you. The reason why you want this gun is because it's cheap. It will set you back, depending on the scope that you get, it'll set you back about 100k. This price is without the 6x scope, which costs usually around 60k. And yeah, it's nice and cheap, and it shoots tier 7 ammo and tier 6 ammo semi-automatic, which is exactly what you want. Then for helmet, I would usually go for a tier 4 helmet with a tier 4 face shield, just to protect you from scavs and from people using assault rifles and SMGs. Then of course a level 4 face shield. For body armor, pick any tier 4 body armor. Usually I would go for something green to blend in with the environment. So let's say in general I would go with a 6B23. Headset. Pick the best that you can afford. I would go GS2 or Commander, usually GS2s. You really want to be able to, because you're going to be in forests. You want to be able to hear sounds in your vicinity. You really are going to want to be able to hear people moving around in the forest, hitting bushes, hitting branches. You're going to want to be able to hear people inside points of interest that you're approaching, whether it's cable car, whether it's observation station. You're going to want to be able to hear if someone's camping you, if you're on the inside of these areas and you want to get out. For me, being able to have top-notch hearing in these open areas and in these forest areas is absolutely crucial, so I would go with GS2s. In terms of chest rigs, you don't need a whole lot of space, to be quite honest, because the SVTU has pretty small mags, but of course you're gonna be carrying quite a few meds, you're gonna be carrying quite a few stims, as we will see. So I would say just pick the best you can afford. I think a B3 universal chest rig can be a pretty good choice. Maybe the commander is even a bit overpowered. Even a BH2 could be a good choice. In this case, in order to meet the equipment value requirement, I'm going to be pre-selecting the B3. And in terms of backpack, I would usually bring a big backpack. Go for the best that you can afford. In general, I actually bring 926s for these types of raids, because you're gonna be killing juicers. If you kill people in Forbidden, they're gonna be juicers most of the time. If you don't run into people, you're gonna be opening a ton of loot boxes, and so you really want to have space. You want to have as much space as possible to bring out these juicers gears, to bring out golds that are 4 slaughters or 6 slaughters. Just go with the best that you can afford. I would go with a 926. Alternatively, I would recommend the Chapman. That's a very, very good recommendation. Or the Medfield or the AMP7. For this example, let's assume we're grabbing a Chapman. So we're gonna purchase and equip all this. And as you can see, we've got plenty of space to carry out a lot of stuff. We've got great hearing. We have mediocre armor and head armor, face armor, and body armor for this game mode. But then again, most people are going to be shooting tier 6 and tier 5 ammo. So yeah, and they're gonna be mostly shooting, trying to tap heads. So spending millions on armor is not worth it in my opinion. And we have a pretty damn deadly weapon, which, by the way, I usually like to run this, as I said, with the 5 rounders. What I do, 5 round mags, I will do 1 5-round mags of 7N37. This is gonna set you back about 100k. It's 60k for me now because I already have 2 bullets. These rounds are expensive. Very, very expensive, but they will basically 1 tap anything to the head, 2 taps to the chest at worst, 2 taps to the head at worst if there's ricochet. And so I'll buy 5 of these and I'll put them in my main mag. Then what I'll do is I'll buy a 10 round mag. I'll use that as a secondary mag, which I'm going to use for targets that I've already hit, or potentially for scavs that are in my way and that I need to get rid of quickly. And I will load this 10 round mag with 7 BT1 ammo. I will put that 10 round mag in my pocket, and then I will bring some extra 7N37 ammo and 7 BT1 ammo that I will put in my composite case. So let's do that as well. 7N37. I'll buy 5 more bullets, maybe even SNB if you don't want to spend as much, and then I'll bring, like, I don't know, say 15 7B T1s, and I'll put all of this in my pouch so that I can basically reload my mags from these bullets in my pouch. Also, this kit is not super heavy. We're 26 kilos, so we'll be nice and mobile early on, which is very important. However, next to your usual painkillers and OPM and TMK and milk kits, or maybe 100Ds or E3s, whatever meds you prefer running, you're gonna want to be bringing some gas grenades to get out of sticky situations, some GHOs or M67s in order to play aggressive or to protect yourself from pushes. But very, very importantly, you're gonna want to bring 2 nom-noms, because the raids are long, you're gonna be getting hungry and thirsty. And even more importantly, you're gonna want to be bringing either 1 strength booster or 2 strength injections, because if you get 1 or 2 kill on juicers, you're going to be heavy. So you want that strength injection or that strength booster in order to basically get out of the action quickly without being an easy target. And also endurance stims, 1 or 2 endurance stims are also very good to take, because in some situations you're going to be aiming down sights a lot, maybe ambushing someone. The SVTU is relatively heavy. You will not be able to aim down sights for a very extended period of time if you don't have an endurance stim. So to my survival kit, I always add at least 1 strength booster and 1 or 2 endurance stims, e-drinks, meal kits, OPMs, LPs, and usually 2 GHOs and 2 gas grenades. So in the end, this is what my final kit will look like for a classic raid like this. Many of these things can be found in bundles because none of this gear is very rare or exotic. Often you'll have the meds laying around, often you'll have the drinks laying around, so most of the time you will not even spend as much as I did to set up this kit from scratch. And that's it everyone, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking, consider subscribing, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I stream on YouTube and on Twitch weekly, so make sure you hit the bell notification button, or follow me on Twitch, or join my Discord to know when I upload and when I stream. If you're looking for people to play the game with, make sure you join my Discord, lots of chill people there. All the links are in the description, and without further ado, I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.